This is going to be a really contentious video as the series has led to nothing but polarizing debates, a portion of the audience feeling that it was a wasted opportunity and the other side claiming that it is a unique concept executed decently. When I tuned into watching the 8-episode series titled The Last Hour on Amazon Prime Video, I didn't go with any expectations. The writer and director of this series, Amit Kumar, has made Monsoon Shootout and the short film Bypass, that both, just like this series, has generated mixed opinions. The series focuses on a number of murders that take place in Sikkim, only for a police officer, Arup, played by Sanjay Kapoor, to take the aid of a Jhakri, aka Shaman Dev, played by Karma Takapa, who can see what took place in the last hour of the deceased. The series is a supernatural crime thriller that explores the reason for so many murders taking place in the locality, and in the process of doing so, also explores the elements that go beyond the mortal realm as we know it. Here's me telling you the good and bad aspects of this series in no particular order so that you guys can ultimately decide whether to watch The Last Hour on Amazon Prime Video or not. The cinematography. Probably the biggest selling point of this series are its beautiful and expansive visuals. The series is primarily shot in Sikkim and the state has been captured beautifully. From the dense and extensive forests, the mighty and almost intimidating mountain ranges in contrast to the narrow and densely populated market areas and streets, the series visually will really keep you in awe. The cinematography by Jayesh Nair really made me come to the conclusion that a film or a series gets elevated when it is shot in real locations. After watching a plethora of films and series with digitally rendered backgrounds, it was such a refreshing change to see locations being utilized in the meat rather than something that is created on the editing table. What I will say is that there are several sequences, however, that will give you flashbacks of the episode titled The Long Night in Game of Thrones, because it was literally impossible to decipher what was going on. The action sequences, due to the lack of budget, I presume are rudimentary in nature, which I will come to later, but there are moments of combat with an antagonist which really make you squint your eye to check for details, something I assume many viewers will find rather problematic. Slow narrative and unanswered concepts. What cannot be denied for anyone who has seen this show and even loved it is that it forces the viewer to be patient with it. The problem with this show is that it introduces you to many concepts which are specific to the location and its people. This excites you initially as it represents concepts in a genre that is barely explored in India. You wait patiently for it to be truly fleshed out, but sadly the creators find it suitable to move on to the next topic. You feel as if someone you were interested in started a conversation with you, was clearly into you, and then walked away abruptly. I felt this several times while watching The Last Hour, as I kept on contemplating about the potential of this show and how it is barely exploring some of its most interesting subjects. The series is introspective in many ways. Our protagonist Dev is a man of few words, so many sequences of the series are him lost in thought rather than communicating. This even frustrates someone like his close friend Doma in the series. Just like her, we are also following Dev along this arduous journey, not knowing what lies ahead, but in the process having many unanswered questions. Everyone in the series is dealing with some form of loss, and this leads to the series having more or less a very gloomy appearance. One of the main reasons why people are torn apart regarding the series, some gravitating towards that melancholic mood and some completely rejecting it as they expect crime thrillers to be a little more engaging and exciting, both being right in their own way. The casting. One of the biggest complaints regarding the Hindi film industry has been the stereotypes that it has perpetuated about minorities for years in films. There is an idea that was marketed to the masses of the habits, abilities, and basic look of a population that was barely explored. This idea was ingrained in our minds and in several parts of the country is still understood by them as was advertised by those problematic films. The Last Hour is a rare example of setting a film in a particular location and casting the talent that is from precisely there. The cast understands the area and its eccentricities and don't come across as the token representations by big stars that we have often seen. Karma Takapa, who is a graduate from FTII, is a director himself, features in his first acting role, and he is extremely convincing as the Shaman Dev. While I believe he is instructed to be understated in his performance, he really does have a confident presence in front of camera that will impact you. In several instances of the series, you will notice this dated idea of the Northeast be questioned or expressed from the local population itself. From the idea that this geographical location only eats snakes and dogs, the locals being hesitant of the increase in the number of outsiders coming in, leading to an increase in crime. It is all a back and forth between a dated idea and a population that has been marginalized and is always cautious and protective of their identity. Sanjay Kapoor and Shahana Goswami put forth capable performances as the police officers in charge. While the written material doesn't allow them to really show off their acting skills, you believe every moment they feature in front of camera. Sanjay Kapoor 2.0 seems to be more comfortable than whatever he did in the 90s. Robin Tamang as the antagonist Yamanadu and Shaili Krishan as Pari may be a hit and miss for a lot of viewers. While I think Robin Tamang did justice to the written material, the character who I was most interested in is barely fleshed out. While people are criticizing Shaili and her monotone delivery, I genuinely feel that it is a character trait more than anything else, of a daughter still coming to terms with the loss close to her heart. The ride-or-die friend of Dev, who I absolutely fell in love with, without giving anything away, can I just say Doma deserves better. Editing and lack of budget. Again, something that will be extremely clear to you while watching this series is the lackluster editing of sequences. In moments, there are abrupt jump cuts while characters are performing their dialogues. The action sequences are also choppy in their execution. Chase sequences ensue only to randomly lead to a death or a point of impact. In many moments, this bums you out because the gap between the intention and the execution is very clear. This may probably be due to the lack of funds that the creators had to execute these on-paper exciting moments, but it is undeniable that they come across as haphazard most of the time. I felt like a parent who has come to their child during sports day, and I can clearly tell that my son or daughter doesn't have the ability to come first, but I keep on cheering, expecting maybe for it to get better. But I eventually have to accept the reality that the problem of his or her athletic ability needs to be addressed. Lack of focus and potential. You know, when you watch a series and you constantly contemplate about what ifs, you get lost in this sea of hypotheticals making the show better in your head. You know the potential of this series was boundless. It could have easily become one of the most unique and impactful ones. This series and its elements literally have the ability to be a captivating graphic novel. It reminded me of elements that existed in Lal Kaptan and Detective Byomkesh Bakshi, specifically the antagonists and their role in the film, and how it would be beautiful to see in a manga form. The problem with the series is that it introduces you to the realm of the unknown, but it doesn't really flesh it out. Something that I was most interested in. I don't know why, but the series thought it was more suitable to focus on the romantic angles. It somehow took me away from the storyline. My wish for the series was to focus on the history of the gift given to Dev, Jhakri people and their customs, the magic and its complexities. Why is there such a lust for this power? The animosity between Dev and Yamanadu, the elements of the realm beyond mortals. What do these things mean? This is all that I wanted the series to explore, and while it tries to mold it together by its conclusion, the journey seemed tiresome. I feel like the last hour is set up beautifully for a second season, but it forced the viewer to be extremely patient with it. One of the main reasons why people are torn about it. I believe it is a unique and compelling subject that was executed in a very average fashion. Its potential, as I previously said, was exponential, something the creators really missed out on exploring. Am I still interested in what lies ahead? 100%. It's tough to find creators these days in the Hindi space that are at least making an effort to explore unique subjects. This is one of them. And that was the video, guys. Write down in the comments below what you thought about the series. Please don't forget to follow me on Instagram. The handle's right in front of you. Follow me at JammyPants4. Also, please support us by smashing the like button and subscribing to our channel for weekly content ahead. Thank you for watching.